Excuse me. Calling the meeting to order. Thank you. Good evening. I call to order this City of Gerald regular called City Council meeting and workshop Tuesday, January 6th at 7 p.m. First item on the agenda is a roll call. We do have two members that are absent. All right, we'll have invocation and pledge of allegiance led by myself. Let us pause for a moment of reflection. We ask for wisdom and clarity as we conduct business of this city. May our decisions be guided by integrity, respect, and a sincere desire to serve the people of our community. We are grateful for the opportunity to work together for the common good of everyone that lives here. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is public comments, and we do not have any. Okay, agenda item 3, we do have a proclamation. This month, January 2026, as School Board Recognition Month. Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to a democratic society and an ever-changing world. And whereas local school board members are elected by the community members to do what's best for students. Whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we want for all our students. And whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system, and whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now therefore, I, Patrick Sherrick, Mayor of the City of Gerald, do hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the Gerald Independent School District Board and proclaim January 2026 as School Board Recognition Month in Gerald. I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold the education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children. I think we do have some school board members here. Are there any more?
I think it's just me.
Just you? Okay. We'll save these for that.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Sure. Do you want to get a picture, Dr. Hicks? Or?
Gerald Cougars.
Go Cougars.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you all so much. We
No problem.
appreciate our partnership. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay, agenda item number 4. We're going to do the swearing in for our new police chief. That's Police Chief Jim McLean. And the oath of office will be administered by Judge Evelyn.
All right, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I swear, Your Honor. I, James McLean,
I, James McLean,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of Chief of Police
the duties of the office of Chief of Police
for the City of Gerald
for the City of Gerald
of the State of
of the
Texas
State of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United
of the
States
United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
So help me God. Thank you. So, Mayor, Council, City Manager, thank you for the trust that you have placed upon me to lead the Gerald Police Department. First off, I'd like to thank my family. Without this, I could have never done it. So, as you can see, I have a few friends out here. So many of them we were talking about earlier that there's a lot of memories over 33, 34 years worth. So thank y'all for the bottom of my heart for showing me. So thank you.
We're going to take a brief recess so people can read the new police chief. And return at 7:10 p.m. 15 p.m. Next item on the agenda is employee recognition. Recognition of city staff and volunteers for contributions to the Merry Gerald Christmas 2025 event.
Council, Mayor, the city would like to start recognizing employees for their labor. Let's start with the Christmas event. Thank you to all the employees that were present there. They volunteered their time and all volunteers that made that event happen. This year, thanks to their effort, we more than doubled the vendors, and the event got to a point that for people to leave home, we pretty much have to kick them out. That's how much fun they were having. So I'm hoping the event will keep growing. With that said, I would like to recognize the staff, not just for the event, but also for the contribution to the city. And we started a program called Gerald at Heart. And the purpose is to incentivize the staff and members to give that extra mile for the city. The first one I would like to recognize will be Diane Peace. This certificate is proudly presented to Diane Peace in appreciation of steadfast loyalty, years of dedicated service, and genuine care for the city of Gerald and its people. Through a long-standing commitment, institutional knowledge, and devotion to public service, her contribution has supported the city through growth, change, and transition. Her service has helped shape the city we are today and reflects a deep sense of pride and care for the Gerald community. This recognition honors those whose dedication, loyalty, and heart have made a lasting impact in the city of Gerald and exemplified what it truly means to be Gerald at heart. Presented this day, 6th of January 2026. The award will be accompanied with a floating holiday that she can use throughout the year as her choice.
Sure, first.
Thank you so much.
You are the bedrock, and you are the institution knowledge that we need. employee that I would like to recognize. Thanks to this employee, the Christmas event was a success, to the point that during the event, she was already planning the next year's event. This certificate is proudly presented to Ashley Huger in recognition of outstanding dedication, leadership, and service to the City of Gerald during the Mary Gerald Christmas 2025 event. Through our exceptional initiative, she more than doubled vendor participation from previous year, took charge of vendor coordination and placement, ensured orderly operations throughout the event, and demonstrate forward-thinking leadership by actively planning improvement for future events, all while amplifying a true Gerald at heart spirit. This recognition honors those who above and beyond to strengthen our community, unify for city, and live with pride, commitment at heart. Presented this day, January 6, 2026.
Three. You wanna fix the paper behind it? Oh. 1, 2, 3. All right, thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda is consent agenda items.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous? Okay, moving on. Agenda item 7.1, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a utility service agreement for a property collectively referred to as Cactus Rose Development, as described in detail in the utility service agreement. Ms. Bell.
Mayor, city staff is actually asking if we can table this item for this evening for discussion
Okay.
until future date.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this, till future date.
Okay. Second. All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous? Agenda item 7.2, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the Fourth Amendment to the development agreement for property collectively referred to as the Balcones Flats Development. Ms. Bell.
Thank you, sir. Balcones Flats Development is requesting an amendment to their development agreement. This will be the third amendment, so development agreement number 4 in total. This one is basically for housekeeping. This property was rezoned last summer from residential to commercial use. And to clean up, to get the language consistent between the zoning and the development agreement. That's what the request that you have before you this evening. So subject property is on the, sorry, one of the screens is not working. It's on the screen before you on the wall, located on Seawood Stockton Loop. Approximately 68.72 acres, to include the commercial component within the overall Balcones Flats development, and clarifies applicable development standards for that portion of the site. The rezoning request was approved by this body in September of 2025. 205 single-family lots, 300 multifamily lots per SS2 ordinance, 6.5 acres of C2 commercial development. The commercial area does support the city's economic goals and neighborhood serving uses. No open space lot requirements for commercial acreage obligations were met with their phase 1 of the residential development. And then the fire code. City is currently under 2018 fire code. Regardless of future updates, they would still be held to the 2018 fire code. The agreement would be recorded with Livingston County, include standard provisions for amendments, termination, severability, notice, and enforcement, covenant prohibits forming or inclusion in special districts, and staff review confirms consistency with prior agreements and no conflicts. Staff is available for questions, and we do have a representative here if you have any questions for them as well.
So what exactly did we change in this amendment? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What did we change?
When
What did we add?
when the development agreement was originally created, this entire subdivision was intended to be residential. They did a rezoning request last summer, which
I
changed a
remember
portion
that.
of it to commercial, so this is to update the language within the development agreement to reflect that.
Within the
commercial use.
original.
Yes, so this would be, they've gone through a couple of amendments, so this would be, development agreement number 4.
4 of them. I make a motion to approve the development agreement with Balcones Flat Agreement Development number 4 as stated.
It's on the, it's on
Oh,
the screen in front of you.
well,
Sorry.
it's, I said, it's the same thing, right, if I'm making the motion?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. It's unanimous. All right, agenda item 7.3, discussion, consideration, of possible action on the appointment or reappointment of members to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, sir. The planning and zoning commission members that were appointed last year, you had some staggering members. 2 of them were appointed for 2-year terms and 3 of them were appointed for a 1-year term. 3 of those terms have expired, and staff is requesting that we reappoint those members. It would be Jason Oliver, Nick Ray, and Caitlin McLean, and for a 2-year appointment, so that they would be staggered against the remaining planning and zoning commission member, David Bryson. So just for reappointments right now. We are collecting applications for new members for this commission and other boards and commissions within the city that we're hoping to have reviewed at the next city council meeting.
We got 3 positions, but there was a 4th applicant. Colleen.
Yes, so we're not asking you to review that one right now. I just need the 3 existing members to be reappointed so that we can post the vacancy meeting. But that one, I apologize, that shouldn't have been included, but we're gonna bring all of the new applications to you next time for review.
All right, I guess, first question is, since, normally this questions were asked in executive session, I was informed that we couldn't be in this, I'll ask them. The current members of the board, are they doing the job that we asked them
Yes,
to
sir.
do? Are there any conflicts on the board, any conflicts with the public,
No, sir.
anything that would indicate that they're doing things to better or benefit themselves personally?
No, sir. No, if I had any concerns about their actions or their moral conduct, then I would absolutely bring that in front of you.
And this one that you're asking us not to look at, it goes in the packet, why should I not be looking at her or him, Colleen?
So as I understand it, when members are appointed to commissions with the city of Gerald, there's interviews conducted by city council with the commissioners, or the applicants. We did not schedule an interview with that applicant at this time. We actually have a couple more applications that we have received since that packet was put out. So the intent was just to get the reappointments of the existing members and then do all of the interviews for the new applicants at one city council meeting in the future.
For the next expiring terms, or like the next 2 people expiring, or? We'll have
No,
to
for
rate a
the,
whole
for the
other-
vacancy that we're still gonna have. So
Oh.
we had one member that moved out of city limits, completely out of this area, I'm sorry. And so she's no longer on the board, so even with the reappointment of these 3 members, we will still have 1 vacancy.
Oh, okay, I didn't get confirmation that that had happened yet, so it has happened.
Yes, ma'am, she moved in November.
Okay.
Just one question for the city manager. This said due to staffing shortages, we weren't able to do it the way we normally do it. That's taken care of. Yes. I will make a motion. I'll get back to the first one here. I'll make a motion to reappoint the 3 current members. Kathleen McLean, Jason Oliver, and Nicholas Ray to positions on the planning and zoning that have expired.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Unanimous. Discussion item 7.4, discussion, consideration, of possible action approving the franchise agreement between the city and Texas Gas Service. Mr. Hernandez.
Mayor, Council, the following, you have in front of you is a new franchise agreement with the Texas Gas Service that would like to enter with the city. The term is for 25 years. They offer a 2% gross incentives for natural gas that we can use in the general fund. They will hold any construction, the city will be held harmless. And we have a representative from the company right here if you have any questions. For it.
Did we approve Atmos last year?
We approved Atmos last year.
What was their franchise fee?
It was 5%.
What's the difference? What's the big difference?
That's the offer. They normally companies, they offer the gross percentage based on their expenses. We don't, I mean, that's their offering to us. And like we have a representative here in the city.
I mean, 3% difference, I just kind of.
What happens if we don't agree to these terms?
If you don't agree to them, we can either go back and renegotiate, or you can just deny the franchise. If you have questions for the company representative, he is here. If you'd like to ask him any questions, Larry.
Would you like to come up? Sure. Yeah.
He might provide some insight on the percentage and if this company would be open to negotiations on that.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Larry Graham, Texas Gas Service. So real quickly, we have 700,000 customers in Texas, El Paso, we're in the Austin area. And in Central Texas, it's not unusual for us to be near or in the same city as Atmos. And actually, we're the major provider in Austin, but there's 4 different gas utilities that have franchises with the city. And clearly, I didn't do my homework when we submitted the proposal for 2%. I didn't realize Atmos was at 5%. So real quickly on the franchise fees, in Texas, we're in 105 cities. We pay between 2 and 5%. It is really a policy decision for the council. It is, just to be clear though, it's paid by the customer, it's not paid by us. So when we have customers, hopefully later this year, we're gonna have some customers here, it's added, whether it's 2% or 3% or 4%, and the customers pay. It's not sometimes there's some confusion. It's actually a line item on their bill. So, you know, we prefer, just so you understand, we are financially indifferent to the franchise fee. It doesn't affect us, but we like to see our customers have a lower bill. So that's why we start out at 2. And, you know, we're open to discussions. I do not know when exactly our plans are to be in this city. It's sometime this calendar year. And really, again, just to make sure everybody understands, the franchise is really a lease. We're gonna lease the city's right away, and you're gonna allow us to put our pipe, and in return, we're gonna pay you for it. And so that's really I think the discussion, you know, is how much you would like to be paid for that. But yeah, in full honesty, we pay between 2 and 5% all over the state. And honestly, there's probably more people. We've had cities over the years, you know, increase up to 5, but nobody gets more than 5.
Right. I like 5. So I don't really know how to go about that.
Well, do you have authority to agree to that?
That's a great question.
No, we can,
I think in this case, especially in light of the fact that Atmos is here and is at 5%, like that makes a difference to me. I think you guys could make a not the problem, Karen, you can make a motion to amend it to 5%. And again, the other part of the franchise is, it's not valid until we sign it. So if I were to run into any troubles, I would let you know it's possible we'd have to come back. But I think in this case, it's an initial franchise. I think we could do it. So that's what we would need to do for you guys to amend it, and send me a copy back that's at 5%.
So how's it, to our turn, how's the motion need to look?
Essentially, you would move to approve the franchise, amending the proposed fee of 2% to 5%.
What she said, no.
I'll make a motion to approve
The franchise
the
agreement,
franchise fee with the amending the 2% to 5%.
just to be clear, you're moving to approve the franchise agreement with Texas Gas with the amendment to change the franchise fee from 2% to 5%.
Yes, that's what I am.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
I'll make that amendment.
Okay. Agenda item 7.5, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding adopting resolution 2026-0106-02, changing the regular city council meeting date. Mr. Hernandez.
Good evening again. The present council meeting has been in place since 2001 and to support improving schedule consistency and allow some tendency from some of the new elected council members. We're proposing to move the council meeting to this, the second Wednesday of each month, starting at 6:30, beginning February 2026. And each of you have a corrected version of the cover letter.
Is that gonna be in conflict with the EDC meetings? Are they the same?
The third, second Wednesday?
Like the 14th, so.
Okay, we will have to. Yes, we took a vote from other council members and it was the day that they all have available.
Not the third Wednesday?
No, there's a conflict
Second
with the
Wednesday.
school board.
Wednesday is school board meetings.
My question, and I sent it in my email, was traditionally Wednesdays are reserved for religious purposes. A quick search today, within a couple minutes, every church in this area, either starting at 6:30 or 7, has a religious service, a Bible study, etc. And one of the comments I've said in here was, to help, increase public participation. We got people going to church, so.
I understand, but most of the council meetings are to conduct city businesses, and that's the main priority of the meeting.
But up to the public.
It's open to the public.
Yeah, it's our council meeting, but it is open to the public. And like I said, traditionally, Wednesdays were off limits due to the religious thing. I don't want people having to make a decision or not come to our council meetings because of their religious beliefs. So that was my concern. Also, we haven't been on the schedule since 2001. We switched to the second. We were originally on the third for a long time, and we switched. So we've been on this new schedule now for what, a year?
That was the latest I found on and then did a search. When was the last time we changed?
Since you've been here. Yeah, we switched from the end of the month to the beginning of the month. So no, we haven't been on this since 2001. We've actually changed once already. What prompted wanting to move to Wednesday?
Conflict with some of the council members' schedule.
Well, now we're gonna be a conflict with economic development. So, can't really make a decision tonight?
Nope.
Okay, I make a motion to table this 7.5.
I'll second that.
right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, all those opposed say nay, it's unanimous. All right. Agenda item 8, we're gonna adjourn into a workshop. This time, the General City Council is now adjourned at 7:41 PM. We got a couple of dates. So 8.1, we're gonna discuss contract development agreement. This time.
We do have Casey and Rachel here, to discuss, some residential development that they have proposed on the contract out on West 487 and 487.
Yes, and we have our attorney, Courtney McCorder, here as well. So we wanted to, if you recall, we came in a few months ago just to discuss, wanted to better understand what the city would support in terms of zoning for this project, specifically on the residential portion. If you recall, we asked if we could do 40-foot lots as a minimum, so it was somewhat of a hybrid between SF2 and SF3. I understand that there are certain subdivisions that the city's not, does not want to see in the future, which I can understand and respect that. When we were negotiating our development agreement, Yvonne made the comment that the city doesn't want hardly any 40-foot lots and wants to limit that to 10 to 15%, which that kind of came out of left field, if I'm being honest. So just wanted to better understand what the city would support with this project. Y'all may not know, but I've been working with Jorge for a long time. We've been working with Jorge. We've been working on this project for over 2 years, and we feel like we've gotten almost nowhere. It has been an absolute whirlwind. I understand the previous administration was somewhat out of your control. We feel like we were lied to many times with the previous administration, so it has been quite frustrating. I would love to get a resolution on truly what the city wants to see here. I feel like we have approached this whole experience with the utmost grace and patience and kindness, and if I'm being honest, I don't feel like we've got that in return. I just would love to get a resolution on what the city really wants to see here regarding zoning and lot size, and then there's another topic we'd like to discuss after that.
So what are, I know you're asking us what we would want, or what are you wanting to put in there, the smaller lots?
Yes, ma'am. So it wouldn't be like a couple of the subdivisions that are close by that are crammed in little cigar boxes turned upside. We would do a mixture of 40s and maybe 45s and 50s. Your minimum lot zoning in SF2 is a 45-foot lot. I don't know if you're aware, but some builders don't even have a product that would fit on the 45-foot lot because you have 5-foot side yard setbacks. So that's a 35-foot product. Some builders don't even have that. So we would want it to be a mix, and with, I don't know how much y'all dialogue with some of the builders, but I understand it's not, and it is not our goal either, as I expressed last time, to cram as many possible homes. It's good to have different product types throughout. So it's not our goal to just slam all a bunch of 40s because the builders would never, the market would not support all 40s. I mean, this is gonna be around 420, 430 rooftops. You'd be a fool if you did all 40-foot lots, because no builders would want that. The market wants diversification of product.
Now, refresh my memory, you were also requesting, or was it you requesting putting a gas station across the road? Was that the conversation?
That was the conversation,
Okay,
yes, sir, yes, sir, yeah. We were asking what commercial uses was on that northern 18 acres, and I know that's because we wanted to understand, are there any use that the city was against? And that is the one use that you said you weren't a fan of.
Now, I hear your frustration, I don't understand, because obviously I don't work with you daily, that's city staff. What is frustrating with working with the staff, so I better understand, what's happened here that, you know, instead of basically feel like you're lied to, what's going on?
Yes, yeah, and I can elaborate on that. So with some of the previous administration that is no longer here, they promised, we have water, we have water. I don't know if y'all are aware, we granted the city, working with the Ton family, we granted a free easement for water and wastewater in May of 2024. for free, with the intention that we were going to get access to water and wastewater at the then current impact fees. So this is the next topic that we'll go to in depth afterwards. After everything blew up and those individuals were removed, then Jorge came in, we started working with Jorge. Jorge said that we were the only group that didn't come in screaming at him. And I felt like we have approached this with a lot of grace and patience. So we granted that easement, and then after we were ready to go to, we had our project on the docket for P&Z in September of 2024. And then y'all went under moratorium, you weren't hearing projects for, was it 6 months?
At least 6 months.
At least 6
Yeah.
months.
And then everything was getting tabled after that.
And then once that was lifted, we went back to Jorge, and then I believe Yvonne came on at that point, and we were told that the city may not have water for 3 to 5 years at that point. And then, so we said, okay, well, we're not gonna annex into the city with it, we need some type of agreement. So it was continuously delayed, and then we were told that you need to do a development agreement. Well,
They told you you needed to do a PUD.
a PUD, yes.
Before and that's when I got involved. So Courtney McWhorter, this project's been going on since, as Casey said, 2024. They actively working with the prior administration on securing water, wastewater. They have commitments made from the city at that time. In exchange for those commitments and in reliance on those commitments, a water line easement and a wastewater line easement were granted. There have been active discussions on this site. I know that there's been concept plans. This is 487 and 305. There's an arterial that is going to be running right through the middle of this tract. So it's going to be split up, not just, you're going to have a major road running through there, offshoots of that. What Casey and his team have been running into, and I've run into it over the years, I've been working in Gerald for quite some time now, and we have a lot of email exchange saying, okay, here's where your taps are gonna go, here's where your connections are gonna go, but then taking it to the next step and getting stonewalled. And then we get to a point where in 2024, ready to annex, ready to zone, and submit a plat, and then there was a moratorium in place. So that goes into 2025. 2025 we get lifted, but then a lot of projects, a lot of things just get tabled. Casey reached out, I guess in summer of 2025 to me because he went in to go to annex and zone and was told that he needed to do a PUD. And wasn't going to be able to do SF2 or SF3 zoning on the property, what he was looking for, because he had a commercial tract on the opposite side. You would need to do a PUD zoning. And I said, well, long story short, he got in touch with me and said, well, you're in the ETJ, so we can negotiate a development agreement and annex into the city via a development agreement, which sets your standard, your base zoning. We have been...
You can't contract zone, so we still have to go through the zoning process.
Oh, no, absolutely, but through a development agreement, which is allowed under the local government code, and the legislature has essentially said a development agreement allows for specific variances to the zoning.
Right, but you still have to actually be zoned. You can't
Correct, you can be
contractually agree to SF2 or to some
I
variances.
understand, that's why I say you do a development agreement, and then you annex and zone, and the first step in the process is a development agreement.
And technically, no, you could still just do your petition for annexation under chapter 43, be annexed, and you
Could, but your code allows you, and your code specifically says that you can come in via a development agreement, and I've done multiple development agreements, and this is the way we get into the city, into Gerald.
In my previous city, we did not do development agreements. It was by petition under chapter 43 by the owner. You annex, and then you zoned under our zoning ordinance.
I'm just
That's
talking
what I'm saying.
historically in the city of Gerald.
Okay.
And the
Just
development,
with me right now, okay? We're not in court, we're not gonna fight. It's-
Yeah, no,
so-
historically we
if
come
I-
in.
if I may, the development agreement was pressed by your team.
Okay.
That wasn't us.
Yeah, so we went into because, like I said, there is a potential for a mixed use, and so, across the street, when we pulled that back, under a development agreement, you can say, I want base zoning SF2 with modifications. We will agree to annex in, be zoned under those standards. We have been actively working with the city on that and meeting with them. It wasn't until, and so all along, we understood that minimum lot size would be 40-foot lots, but they wouldn't be all 40-foot lots, and that's the understanding that my clients have had all along until October 30th, when we received some comments and feedback to our proposed development agreement, and following shortly thereafter, we had a conference call with staff and was told that the city doesn't want to see any 40-foot lots, and if they had their preference, it would be 80-foot lots. And I'm just here to tell you, I've done subdivisions all across Central Texas and the Houston area, and I get where people want 80-foot lots. And this is just an example. If you want to talk about creating value, I understand that. However, like I did the Falcon Head subdivision in BK. There are 40-foot lots all throughout there, that subdivision. And that is a high-end, those homes in there are selling for close to $1 million. So you can have a substantial product on a 40-foot lot. When you're into an 80-foot lot in an entry-level market, unfortunately, that's where we are right now, until you get commercial, until you're driving the rooftops, that's where we are. I just don't think that works. And so we want to know, is it the council's position now to do away with the 40s and the 50s and go to something greater like an 80? Because if so, that's the guidance we need tonight. And that's the conflict that we're seeing.
I appreciate you taking the time.
That's that, and then getting into the impact fees, which, like I said, we have been actively working with the city, have commitments for 2024, granted an easement and reliance on those commitments, didn't ask for consideration then, to get into the discussion phase and then be told, oh, the impact fee has now increased by over $10,000 per LUB with no notice to the applicant. This is where we're struggling with that. We've been delayed over and over and over again. We have written commitments from the city. We are aware that, everything from the prior administration, we have emails from Jordan Cantu on her commitments to the project. And so that's where we are tonight. Like, we need to know if you want this project and how it's going to go forward, because if not, we're looking at all options, including disannexation into the ETJ, working with some municipal utility districts, all of that, and that takes away from your tax base, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question for you, city manager. And you've been working with these people, and how have you discussed this with them and guided it, and your thoughts on their situation?
The promises were made to them with no tracking of the water. That's when we brought to the attention, and we brought that to the water facility study. And we've been guiding everything from that day with them. But without an agreement in place, there's nothing to lock on, is my understanding. If we haven't signed a development agreement, so
There's no signed agreements at this point.
A development agreement was not required when we first started engaging your team.
So,
I cannot speak for what Jordan Cantu promised them. All I can say is when I got on my hand, I know there was a lot of discrepancies, and we were trying to work through them with it. But bottom line, by law, if there's no development agreement, that's not locked into any rates. That will be up to you if you want to approve that.
well, so at this point, do we need to just get a development agreement? Would you be interested in getting, I don't know.
We've been actively
That's-
trying.
I'm fine, yeah.
We've been actively trying to get a development agreement for
Okay.
months.
So
I think-
what's the delay?
I think because we need council feedback. This is really what to know, because like, the SF2 does not support the lot widths they're asking for. And so, my understanding from Yvonne and Jorge is that council has not supported that size lot in the past.
Mhm.
If you're fine with it, we can write that.
Well, tell me exactly where this is, because when I look at this map, I really can't see it. So give me some landmarks.
Doug, you'll have
You know,
to-
the high school
97
is-
and 305 near the high
The
school.
high school.
Okay.
That's it.
So that would be one segment along with Side High School, and then that block across from the school to the high school.
So this blue thing is what we're talking about?
Not the whole white thing.
Oh, the whole thing. And here's 305, and that's gonna be out by the alleged
That's where our
Planned
place is, all that.
data center.
And this is the, and I need a better, I don't have a better map, but just so you're aware, this is with the arterial that's gonna run right through the middle of it. And so 305 is gonna come down into the main arterial straight up. You see
Oh,
it,
okay,
yeah. And
okay.
then we'll come down through the adjacent track too.
And I have provided land plans if, or if Yvonne can send those to you as well, if you haven't seen them.
Okay, so, and again, I can't picture what a 40-foot lot is. Give me a square foot home, what size fits on a 40-foot lot?
The lot that they're asking is the same that we cannot deny for the Mesones.
Misones wanted all, and Dalton Little was here earlier, that's representing that tract. They wanted all SF3, which would allow a minimum lot size of 35-foot lots, or a
Right,
minimum
I
lot
recall
size
that
if they do townhomes.
I'm sorry.
And city council rejected that. We're not asking for that.
Right.
We're not asking for
What are you
SF3.
wanting?
We're asking for a variation of, so it's like SF2, but a minimum lot size of 40 feet, but not all of them will be 40 feet.
How many will
Typically, as a developer, we are a market participant. So when we work with builders, because I'm not the builder, we're not the home builders.
Right.
Typically, builders do a mix of anywhere 60% to 70% 40s, and then 30 to 40% 50s. So usually the smaller lot is the majority, that's not always the case. But, and
Yeah, so other subdivisions, I'm trying to think, Gerald, Calumet is
Okay.
one.
Those are 40-foot lot
Those
lots?
are 40s from there. Cardinal Farms, which would be a 40-foot lot subdivision. There are
Is Rancho Cielo Gardens?
those are 35 foot lots.
35s. Rancho del Cielo, or Cielo Gardens and Rancho del Cielo are 35s.
So that gives you
Okay.
Yeah,
smallest.
I don't ever call any builder or anyone out publicly. I don't agree with people losing face, but those certain subdivisions you just named, I can understand if the city doesn't want to see more of that. I understand
Well,
that.
some of those
Before
homes, well, most of them don't have garages in that
Mhm.
neighborhood.
And in your zoning code has changed, and your building code has changed now, I believe, to require garages. And so that's something that y'all have actively addressed. And things, I mean, from an aesthetic standpoint, you can address in your zoning code. Like, you can do a 40 with, has to have a garage, can't park on the streets. That's normally what you're running into is street parking, things like
Right.
that.
Well, y'all mentioned that what you were hearing was that the city was wanting 80-foot lots, and so obviously that's a big difference. Is it something that you would consider maybe your minimum being this 45 to 50 foot with a higher end, so you're doing 60 to 70% of 45 to 50 foot lots, and then you're 30% a little bit bigger? If that's what the city is wanting to do, is move forward with some larger lot sizes and get away from some of these neighborhoods with all these smaller lot sizes, is that something y'all would consider?
Sure.
And what are the
Well,
problems?
so most of the builders have a product, unfortunately, so builders have a
And
stack
I'm
of
sorry, you're having
plans.
to educate me on some
No,
of
no,
this.
no, so builders have a stack of plans and they say, okay, I'm gonna pull this plan because I know it fits exactly on a 40. And they're watching their margins, especially in this type of market, they're watching their margins. And so if they have to deviate any from that plan, then their margins go off. And then they're not gonna wanna come into the community. I mean,
You're shopping builders, so that's.
yeah, that's the feedback we're getting from any of your builders here, Lennar, D.R. Horton, Richmond, Pulte, all of those have a 40, they have a 40, they have a 40, they have a 50, and they have like a 60. And any deviation from that really impacts it. I think you've got, that's just unfortunately what we're running up against.
And would it be unheard of to flip your percentages and do the larger lots at your 60 to 70% of those developments and the smaller lots at 30% of the developments?
The feedback that we continue to get is that builders do not have an appetite for that product, especially in this market. And I don't know how much y'all dialogue with builders, but it's extremely challenging in this market right now. And I know a lot of land developers that are pulling out of land positions in Jarrah because it's too challenging where the market is or utility situation. So it's a very difficult, Austin and greater Austin area has experienced the most significant price depreciation out of any city in the country. We're getting kicked in the teeth.
And just, normally you see about 9 homes moving a month, and we have subdivisions that are moving less than 1 home a month, just in this market. And that's what the builders are looking at and just seeing. And so they're really hedging their margins right now.
I couldn't even imagine the affordability of a 80-foot lot. That's a large
It's not an affordable home.
space. I know,
That's-
I mean,
And that's why, and don't get me wrong, and actually, as a land developer, we can sell larger lots for more money. But there's not a market for it. That's
well, not in
And- and
Gerald
this-
area.
yeah, right now there's not, eventually there will be.
Yes.
You have to look at Hutto. I grew up in Elgin, so Hutto was small compared to Elgin. And came in, and now it's just this thriving, and you've got large estate lots there, you've got all the amenities, and that's the trend in Williamson County especially, where it's growing out slowly. I've got some projects going in Granger, similar type of feedback that you'll get there, and it'll be a community where everyone wants to be into. It's gonna take some time.
Excuse me. Jorge, how do we go forward?
That was my question. How do we help these
The staff is
people?
looking for your direction.
Well, okay, let's back it up for a second here. I don't get paid, I help run the city. What is the staff's recommendation first?
When we met with the developers, I asked for a percentage of lots for this. That was my request, is that you give me a percentage that you're gonna ask for this deviation from design standards on. And what staff proposed was about 10 to 15%, and that was a little bit too low for them, for their deviation, and that in addition to the impact fees, which I think you said we're gonna discuss in a minute, okay. That was, what prompted this request to come in front of city council for some guidance. My request was that they give a specific percentage of the area or a specific lot count that they would have that deviation from design standard on.
And so what percentage are you,
So we're
looking
proposing
at?
60 to 70% 40s, and then with the ability to go up. So that's the absolute maximum, but understanding that depending on what the builders want, that we would probably fall somewhere under that. Going all the way up to 60s, I think there's a market for that possibly, but I don't think we can guarantee. I think that what we wanted to set a percentage on was the 40s. And that being between 60 and 70%.
And staff's was 10 to 15%?
Yeah.
Were y'all promised 40-foot lot sizes in that by previous?
No.
Okay.
We were just promised access to water.
Just access to the water and wastewater.
do we have that for them?
They went through the feasibility study.
Well, both sides want something, so you gotta find a compromise, because neither side's gonna get exactly what they want. Agreed. So what's a compromise? I'm gonna ask the city too, I mean, what's a compromise here, both sides?
Can I add something? This is Rachel, before we get into that. Some of this is, yes, it's what the builders want, but a lot of this is also, what are the offsites? What are the roadway improvements? Like, we have finances that we have to be able to allocate, there's numbers you have to hit. So sometimes when I'm working on these PUDs, there's just a density that I have to get to handle all of the road and infrastructure that I have to do. So on this track in particular, because we have that huge arterial coming through, we lose a lot of land that we have to dedicate. So that goes back to, well, we could have done more 45s and 50s, we just lost additional acreage. Now we need that smaller lot size to make up for that. It's the cost of the road. We're not just building your typical residential street. We're gonna be building at least a 60-foot, and then eventually becomes a 120-foot. Your typical residential is a 30-foot road. So there's significant costs with this project in particular. We also have tax dot improvements for FN 487 they're asking for. And so when you start adding all of those up and you look at the acreage lost with the floodplain changes, with the arterial road, yes, home builders, they like the mixture of the 40s and the 50s. They treat them like two different product types. It helps them get the more velocity that they want, but we also have to account for all of the acreage lost and all of the roadway and improvements that we're doing into the community. Otherwise, you reach a point where if my density is here, but my costs are over here, I'm not gonna move forward with the project because the numbers just don't make sense. So some of the 60-70 is because we've lost a lot of acreage to the road and the improvements that the city's gonna benefit from long-term. And we're having to ask for a higher percentage than we would have if we didn't have a massive arterial coming through this site.
You don't know that was gonna come through there when you allowed the property?
So that was with the previous administration. We had a fun little chat, and Jordan was like, oh, we can agree to 100-foot right of way. And when we came back to Jorge and we talked to Williamson County, because technically, because if we annex in, you guys have the say on the right of way width. You typically like to have a good relationship with Williamson County, so you usually agree. Jordan was like, no, we can do 100. When we came back, Gerald decided to agree with Williamson County, which is, I think the 136 was the total. I think we've settled on 120, but you're looking at 20 extra feet the entire length of the track. We also lost acreage and we lost units when we gave the easement on the side of the property for the wastewater. And I have an exhibit of the units lost. I think it was about 10 units lost to giving you guys an easement that we weren't compensated for. So all of these things play into the percentage that we asked for. It's not just, oh, we want to maximize. It's, we've got to cover costs that we're expecting. We also have to cover the acreage lost on things that benefit the city, like the wastewater line and the arterial that goes through the site.
That makes sense.
So what is the minimum percentage for 40s that is acceptable?
I mean, that's the range of the 60 to 70. So a track that I did recently, I had a mixture and I did it to where we've laid out the concept plan, but until you get into the construction plans and you're not quite sure, we want to leave a range where we're not having to carve out or do really odd things to get under a percentage. 70 allows that to be flexible. I usually end up around 60, but then I'm not coming back to you guys trying to adjust that, trying to get it a little bit, trying to make my acreage and my lot lines make sense, especially because you typically have the 45s over here together, you have the 50s over here, you're trying to design this, have it flow, and having the higher percentage gives that flexibility without us coming back to you. It's not that we're gonna hit 70 and be coming back for 71, it's that we're probably gonna be in the 60s. And
But under 60 is not doable, is what I'm hearing.
with the acres that we've lost from the road and the wastewater easement and the improvements that TxDOT is asking for us on 487, it is not.
So, and just so you're all aware, they're asking for signaling on 487, which is a tremendous cost. So,
Which our project and only our project would bear that cost.
Correct.
Yeah, the data center would not
as
have
well
to
as turn
contribute.
lanes into the site, even though we typically a project of this size would not trigger the full cost. So,
And we didn't know that going into your question, Mayor, that regarding the traffic signal stop. we did not know that going in. This was relatively recent. We found this out in the last few months.
And that's based off of experience that I have and Casey has on projects of this size. They typically don't trigger 100%. And I think it's in the arterial. I think the lack of background projects, so other projects in the works in the area. The Masones, isn't the Masones track to the south?
To the north.
Masones, like, they haven't submitted anything yet, and they would probably, potentially, but they're a low traffic count, now that they're doing something different. The track to the south of us, they put their plans on hold, they're a massive project that are going to be utilizing the light, but because they're on hold, we can't tell TxDOT, what about them? So if we move forward, we have to be okay with bearing all of the costs. And that's kind of where we're at.
What would happen if y'all didn't develop? What would they do? You're still gonna build a road through that piece of property?
So, it is not a plan on Williamson County at this time, and so it would not be funded, and it would not happen in probably 10 to 15 years, in my experience. A lot of projects, based on projects I have, are all developer driven. I have TxDOT projects that there's 20,000 cars on that road, it's still one lane each way. I'm coming in going, we should have a center turn lane, we should have turn lanes in. I'm doing that for my subdivision. TxDOT should have, they didn't, so it's all developer driven.
That makes sense.
And the traffic light's like 400,000 to 500,000, just the light, not the turn lanes.
I've looked those up.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, when I started before COVID, it was like 250. So,
It's terrible.
yeah, so those are all the factors. It is, we wanna do what the home builders want, but it's also, we have to look at all of the costs, and every project's different. Some of them have very minimal offsites, and we have a lot more flexibility of what we can come to the city with. This project unfortunately has quite a few.
Yeah, Lori, here's, I know you had asked what it looks like, I need to see a visual too. She's gonna put up on the
Okay.
screen what 40-foot lots look like.
So it's the really long houses.
This is not.
It's not a 40-foot?
These are 40, these are 40
A 40-foot lot visually is a two-car garage and a front door. A 45-foot lot is a two-car garage, a front door, and a small window. A 50-foot lot is a two-car garage, a front door, and a double window. A 60-foot lot is a two-car garage or a three-car garage, a front door, and two windows. That's how I always think about it.
This one that's measured out right there is a double width driveway. And then this would be a single width driveway.
So just so I'm aware, is your concern to, and again, that's not what we envisioned with, especially the single width driveway, that's not what we envisioned at all. Is your concern upon just the aesthetics of it, or is it?
That's mine.
I mean, I can answer for me and me only. You know, your job is to come in, buy this land cheap, develop it, and move on, okay? Let's be honest, that's what's gonna happen.
Well, it's.
Us have to live here and have to be concerned about how our city looks and grows. And that's, you know, as you saw, there's development just on the other side of town, and I mean, these things are what, this wide, they go straight up. I don't wanna see that anymore, okay, plain and simple. So yes, it is an aesthetic, it is a, you know, the main reason we have development here is we've got the cheapest land around. We know that. We know that. Georgetown's running out of water. We know that they're gonna be shutting down. Austin's running out of water. All the other cities are running out of water. So we know that we're gonna be having growth here. We wanna control it. We wanna make sure that it looks, that people want to live here and it's not just some little trash town.
Well, we want it to be established and people come and stay.
Correct. So for me, individually, yes, it is about the aesthetics.
And I respect that, and if I may, it is not my MO to come in and buy the cheapest land possible, make the most money, and then take off. That's not my MO.
Where do you live?
We're gonna be in the Austin area.
That's what it's,
Yeah,
we
but
have to
I
live
take-
here.
I
We
take-
have
as-
to live here.
I understand, I totally respect that, sir, I do. I take pride in putting my name on something, and I'm not gonna, y'all don't know me from Adam. I would hope Jorge can attest to this by now. My name, my bond, my word means more to me than any amount of money you could ever pay. So that's why I was very clear when I first came in. I don't wanna be a part of certain subdivisions that this gentleman named. I don't have any interest in doing that. I don't want to be the lowest cost bidder when it comes to putting homes on the ground and developing communities. So I hear you, sir. That's not what we're after.
That's also the purpose of a development agreement, is when we're wanting something different and kind of a PUD as well, but why draw something instead of just petitioning annexation is you want something, you guys wanna limit the single car garages, and you could do 45 lots, but everything has to be a 2-car garage. I mean, I think this doesn't have sidewalks, I'm pretty sure your code requires sidewalks now. So there's some things in this that aren't even per your code allowed.
Yeah.
But if there's things that are of concern that you want to avoid, that's also the goal of a development agreement, is everybody to be on the same page.
Right.
And making sure that we aren't just full of BS and doing 40-foot lots and that's what shows up.
We're wanting our feedback so that they know what to put in the
Correct.
development
We've
agreement.
been
Yeah.
trying to
Be
negotiate this
agreeable
for
Gotcha.
like about 3 months now. With
I mean, and with that other, the other side of that is not being such a truant community, so that everyone's and coming in and going out, and that these aren't just all, we're not just a total community of first-time homes, right? So that we can establish and build our city. And so that's, and have more options of places for people and different to buy. And so I think that's where the concern is how many are we gonna have come in with these tiny lots and tiny homes and.
And we
Does
hear
that
you.
feedback help?
What's
Yeah, well,
the second
absolutely.
part of this, because I know you are gonna go on to impact fees, and I wanna hear the rest of that before there's some
So,
negotiation and what you are trying to get at versus what, because like Daniel said, obviously there's gonna be some kind of coming in the middle somewhere on this, we hope, but I have a feeling that impact fees is gonna have a lot to do with what's next.
yeah, so as I said, we came to the city in 2024 and we're actively working with the city and getting commitments from Jordan Plan 2 at the time. We got a will serve letter. And at the time that will serve letter was granted to the project, committing to serving the project. In exchange for that, my client granted an easement, and we would argue that that was a consideration. And at the time that there was a contract with the city to provide water and sewer at those rates that were in place at the time. My client did not ask for consideration in granting of that easement, with the understanding that water and wastewater would be provided. Over the course now of 2 years going on, we hear in September that the rates have more than tripled. And as Rachel just mentioned, this property is no longer feasible at those rates, which means now you're gonna have a safety issue on 487 if nobody else is putting in a signaling, and you're gonna be putting in large commercial and industrial sites. You've got a situation where, as we said, there's been all sorts of commitments have made. We haven't shared all of those with the staff because we've just been digging up all the emails correspondence. And that's our position, is that as of in May of 2024, when the easement was granted, that locked in our rates. And that is our commitment, that the commitment was made to the city, and we granted an easement in reliance on that commitment. And I know your attorney's going to disagree with me, but that's where we are today. And we think that we can prove that up. So it's unfortunate that we have to bring that all out to here in the open because of what has happened prior. We were hopeful that we would have this resolved before They said, I heard through the grapevine that there was going to be a change where, that there was discussion on the impact fees being increased. And then we got notice in September that it was approved. And with the option to go even higher than that.
And you have the commitments showing the previous rates.
We have commitments for water and wastewater, and we have back and forth with them that we don't have a written agreement with the city, no, but we have exchanges. We don't have an actual contract per se.
The letter that Jordan Cantu used to issue says water open availability. So there was no guarantee. And the concern when they came to me was that the way I interpret the letter is they can spend all the money, build the development, and then find out after they invest the money that we didn't have no water. There was no amount of LUE guarantees, there was no amount of LUEs assigned, it was open availability.
The partner said 600.
Council, I read that letter as well that Jordan sent. It was literally just a will serve. Once we have capacity, we'll provide you with water, wastewater. There's no mention of LUEs, no mention of impact fees in that letter. If they have an email that says something to that effect, please provide it to us. But the only thing I have is the letter that just says when there's capacity, we'll serve your
Those
residents.
letters, is that they open to the same subject. If any developer can come here, spend money, get the development going, and then find out that we have no water.
The difference between us and all the other developers that came to scream at you was that we granted an easement for free.
I understand.
With the intent, and though it didn't have specific impact fees that locked us into that
What I want
agreement,
is
ultimately, we were given someone's word.
But
What
we
I want is
also
to give them
but we were also
content of
committed
how the letter was
location
written
of tap
to everybody
connections. And so that we went one step further. It wasn't just here's your will serve. There was commitments on where you were tapping in and the locations.
And
So
that
y'all
is the
knew
easement.
where it was going. Unfortunately, I mean, I guess you would be tapping into a dry line, but that Jordan said, okay, they took this land plan based on where Jordan was telling them to tap into.
I understand.
And they had 3 connections. And that's all in writing.
So you have that?
Yes.
Yes, and that
Do
has
we have
been
a copy of
provided.
that?
I'll have to check the records, but
Well, I don't like how this business has been done.
It's been
I
extremely
understand,
frustrating.
I understand.
I mean,
That's
I
what
feel
we're
for
working
you.
with them.
And I understand you're in a tough position as a city, because if you grandfather us in, that can potentially open the floodgates.
Yeah, but we got other attorneys up here threatening us then, so yes.
I
But
understand that.
I think we can distinguish ourselves, and that's what we're trying to be here to tell.
Because we have something that says we were gonna have 3 tap locations, and yes, it did not specifically address impact fees at that time.
But in
It was
reliance on
an
them,
expectation.
my client went and granted an easement. So there was an offer, I would argue, and acceptance, and then consideration was given on that.
I cannot speak of what Jordan commit, all I can say is bring you context. And yes, when they were with me, they were the only builders that now came screaming.
Yeah. Well, this is just a workshop, we're discussing and talking about
So
it.
we just wanted to bring that all to your attention.
Yes, we appreciate
I
that.
appreciate y'all's time, and I understand you're gonna need to talk to staff about all of this, and then just come up with a understanding. We just wanted the opportunity to present to y'all and distinguish our project from other projects that might have attorneys coming in and yelling. I might be here next week on it.
Well, my question is though, so they've never done a development agreement. Do we need to start with that?
They have a draft, they have a draft.
This is what we're working towards.
Okay, so this is what we're getting at, we're gonna start with that,
So
and then we're gonna get into all the others.
We drafted the development
Okay.
agreement, received feedback from the city. I made changes, sent it back, and now we've got another red line back from the city. And that's what triggered this meeting, or this workshop, is
Okay.
the most recent version of red lines.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's good to know. I'm sorry you had to go through all that.
I appreciate it. It is what it is.
we appreciate y'all's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we, Jorge, can you bond, just because I have, our original contract with the Ton family was less than a year, and I have had to continue to pay non-refundable money to keep the contract alive. And so I continue to pay money out of pocket to try to get a resolution on this. So if we can just please get a resolution very quickly, I would really appreciate it. because we continue to pay money out of pocket that cannot be refunded. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, agenda item 8.2, discuss Cactus Rose rezone request to industrial.
The Cactus Rose project is on the east end of 305, near where it intersects with the highway, behind Builders First Stores, Taylor Press, that general area. It does front 305. It's located approximately right across the street from Canyon Ranch subdivision. The developers that are proposing to develop that property, going to sound very familiar to what we've had previously come through. Originally intended for this to be a residential subdivision, when the residential market kind of dropped out last spring, they asked about transitioning to industrial use, similar to Masonis. It's the same development group.
Okay.
So I asked that before they turn in any applications for annexation or rezoning, that we could discuss this with city council to get some feedback, to get some, just some ideas of what you guys may or may not want to see over there.
Is this still a workshop in this part? Oh, and this is the Cactus one that we tabled the utility agreement, right?
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
And they're wanting to zone the industrial for another potential data center?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
No. It's a workshop, I can just, this is my thoughts.
If we say no, just like out here, they were gonna be able to build anyway and do whatever they want to, so if we say no, is that the same?
Correct. Yes, sir. They are in our CCN, water utility service area.
But they'll pay us for that,
They
right?
will,
We'll get paid for that if we don't get the tax dollars or what have you. We get paid to provide the services, right?
yeah, so they would extend the infrastructure to their site.
Okay,
And then, we would get the water and wastewater revenue
Okay.
from whatever they utilize at that site use. Yeah.
okay.
They're in RCCN, so we're required to supply utilities.
Yes, sir.
So what if we drop that area from RCCN, as other utilities have?
You'd have to ask PUC to approve it, and so I don't know if they would, that's kind of a process.
I don't know if they would allow like a donut hole removal from the CCN, the Public Utility Commission.
I'm just spitballing here.
Well, yeah, we're spitballing, because, I don't like getting back to the corner every time I want to.
Yeah, and it feels like we're getting back to corner on everything.
And
So let's say
why do they wanna annex?
Generally to be a good neighbor, so that, they're,
Yeah.
okay.
But if they're not a good neighbor if they're putting something there that no one wants.
But what are other reasons, what were you telling me?
I mean, generally, partly why a person would want to annex is for city services.
Which are?
Police protection, usually fire protection, trash, water and wastewater is gonna be separate because that's part of the CCN. If you had animal control, then it would be animal control items like that.
Code enforcement, things
Yeah.
like that.
So are those services they would necessarily want or need, or, I'm saying if we decided not to just go with that and they had to get services from the county, are those services that are valuable to them? Like, I'm,
That's a question for them.
just like Daniel's saying, we're getting back in the corner in every one of these projects. Well, they're gonna do it anyway. Okay, well,
I think Dalton thought this was gonna be tabled too, so he.
I told him no, but. Okay. So, Garrett is the engineer, for the project, but I don't know that he'd be able to answer those specific questions.
I think the wastewater, because I think it's in the city's water CCN.
We're
wastewater?
the only wastewater one around here.
I don't know if you have a CCN right there, I'd have to check that, but
Okay.
I think it would be a good steward, like Commissioner Coving said, hey, we would love to help Gerald out in the annex, and so, on both properties, the Masonis tract and Cactus Rose, there's a water line on the property, and I think the previous landowner granted that water line easement to the city. So there's a city water line on the property, wastewater is across the street. I think I understood the one of the reasons annexed is to get wastewater. I'd have to check the CCN map to confirm that, but, I don't think it's in the city's sewer CCN. So, to get sewer, to avoid having to do septic, you could do that and that'd be part of the annexation.
I'm gonna pull up the map real quick, just so we don't.
The puck map.
I'm in agreement, Lori, that I'd love to see the first one go through before we have to
Well, exactly.
do another one. But on the flip side of that, if they're going to build, and we can't tell them, no, don't build, would we want to not receive tax revenue?
Yeah, but how much tax revenue does a data center bring? I didn't really get a huge number from the last one. I may be wrong.
I thought it
It
was
was a lot.
like
It's a lot.
7 million.
Well, it's millions. It's
A lot.
millions.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the city gets 1% on sales tax, right?
That was all
Yeah.
sales.
That was
And
what.
the property.
There's
tax.
sales
Yeah,
and
but
property.
on the technology, is it a, how long is that property good or valuable where it's taxable? 'Cause I know like on technology, it's a sliding scale down, just like machines are.
Yeah, so I did pull some of that data before for one of the other council members, and it does have like a depreciation value, but the property taxes themselves for the building, the property itself has continued to appreciate.
Okay.
So while you're looking at your equipment depreciation, yes, that does happen, it does depreciate very quickly, but they would, in addition to that, I mean, they use that as a tax write-off also, but, you know, when it's replaced, then it increases again and then depreciates. What you're looking at is the building itself and the land, and that property value is what.
Do we have
And
any
those taxes
idea?
can be used, utility will pay all for utilities, we cannot use anything they pay in utilities for anything
I
else.
think I have
Those
that.
tax revenue will help to improve roadways, sidewalks, and other
Let me
things.
find this.
That's
out
how we got
first.
bullied into taking Walmart.
So do this and then.
All the money
Planning
we're gonna
and
get
all
from
the
them.
things.
I'm
Say
just-
that again? I missed
He's
it.
saying that the money, if we just collected utilities, it would only be, it'd have to go into the utility fund and only spent on that. Whereas if property tax, it would be on roads and all that. And I said to him, that's how we got bullied into Walmart, was we're gonna get all this money from Walmart. I mean, me personally, I don't wanna have 2 data centers.
Rooftop.
We haven't even gotten one.
I understand that,
Okay.
And
and playing devil's advocate, just trying to
Yeah, that's
understand,
good.
right, that if we don't, are we being economically responsible to say, oh, the city does not wanna take in, and we're gonna get a guesstimate of what we're talking about money-wise per year, and we're still looking at a data center, and we still have one. We can't tell them what to build. They don't have to annex, they have the resources, if they have the resources to build a data center to get wastewater.
Don't
That's-
forget about the ordinances.
What I'm
Don't forget
concerned
about the ordinances. Noise ordinance. Don't forget about that. They'd be in the city. So they would
Right,
have
and
to
don't have to
adhere.
follow ordinances, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they would
In the
have
city
to,
limits, yes, you
yes.
would have your police power ordinances like
Right.
noise and some of those other ones, so, but.
same
Right.
argument.
yes, I understand.
I'm just-
It's,
putting it
I
out
know,
there too.
you're good, what you with it.
And the roof-
I mean, I understand, I don't
Yeah.
like it at all, but I don't know that, I mean, our vote isn't, and what we get to decide on isn't, do you want a data center or not? Cause they can do it, and they have that's not what we're getting to decide on, we want to say, what we're deciding on is, are we gonna annex them or not, and be a part of that. We don't have to annex them, but we still can't stop them.
So going back to the, water wastewater service area, Garrett is correct, they are in our water service area, we would be required to service them with water. They are not in our wastewater area.
So they would have to come up,
They
if
would-
we didn't annex, they'd have to have septic.
Yes.
I probably wouldn't like that.
Can we get a guess?
however, the piece of land that needs to make a separate. They would. You know, it'd be perfect.
Property taxes don't pay
we just get one in here and just see how it goes?
You can go that route, again, they can build the NSA, I mean,
I mean, I don't know how hard it is to go through the county instead of the city, I don't know. Anyway, we have to try to get them out, this is just a workshop.
All right, so I guess, is that it?
Can I just maybe ask one more question?
Yeah.
Sorry. Just, and just so I can tell the developer, I think at one point, and it's been a long time, this project, like I said, like Yvonne said, it was started as a residential, back when George was here, and, it was all talked about residential. That's when the water line came through and there was a connection to the wastewater across the street. At that time, they did get feedback that the preference would be more of an industrial type development in this area. Is that still the sentiment? Or, and I think that was one of the big driving factors. Obviously that's the requesting industrial. Is that, I mean, just outside of the data, outside of the data.
Can you provide us with those communications?
Maybe.
Like, why was it this property the one brought initially to the city and instead the
For
other
the data
one?
center, because it's closer to the gas. Gas is coming past 47, it's gotta come from Masoni's all the way over here.
Gotcha.
So it's just harder to get it here. Masoni's just-
Yes, still plan on bringing gas to this location and doing it
Have
easy.
to. Until power's not
More
there,
than likely.
so we have to.
Can a data center run off septic?
Yeah, because there's not a lot of, it's a building with equipment in it, but there's not a lot of people, so there's actually a relatively small, sewer demand, so it can run off a commercial site.
Any other questions?
No.
Oh, no, he doesn't know.
Good. Okay. Moving on, agenda item 8.3, receive and discuss a presentation on proposed changes to Article 9.04 of the City of Gerald Code of Ordinances relating to fees and charges.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we have gone through all the development fees and evaluated the current fee schedule that we have in place. A lot of that was spurred by just some of the fees were extremely high and we were collecting an extra amount of revenue that we didn't necessarily need. And so I don't know what the purpose of that was back in 2022, 2024 when that change was made, but we wanted to bring all of that back into more comparable to other cities. So we looked at some other communities around here to get an idea of what their fees were. So we looked at Harker Heights, we looked at Georgetown, we looked at Leander, Liberty Hill, Bureau Veritas fees, which has been adopted by like Maynard, Hutto, and some of the other surrounding communities. That was the baseline that we looked at, and then we went through and tried to make it to where we were adjusting fees in like the development situation, so like annexation fees, plating fees, zoning fees, making those more amenable to what the surrounding areas were also charging, because some of those were a lot higher. And then looking at the building and permitting fees and making those more in line with what the actual fees that were being charged for the contracted building plan review services that we have in place, and then for the inspection. So I can go through in detail. You got a red line version, you have the existing fees, and then you have the clean version. If there's particular ones that y'all want to discuss, we can discuss that. I have a table that we prepared that does a comparison of what we're being charged for the plan review and the building inspection fees. And we can kind of plug in different numbers if there's other numbers that y'all would like to see us propose. The building plan review fees, we try to keep those as easily calculatable. So normally, most cities will establish a valuation or a square footage, and they'll have separate ranges, and then there will be a calculation with a base fee, and then a per square foot or a per valuation fee. So we were wanting to make it easier for builders and developers to estimate those fees on the front end, so that they had a better idea, and so that's why we left it with just the single line. For any size building, it would be $2,000 for commercial and multifamily plan review, and then 85 cents per square foot. And then for residential, it would be a base fee of 200 plus 80 cents per square foot. So trying to make it a little more streamlined and easy for everyone to calculate those fees on the front end. And then just trying to clean up some of those other items with like miscellaneous permits and fences, pools. A lot of those were set at a base rate, and most of the time those are going to be based on evaluation. And like fences, accessory structures, a lot of those are lower cost projects, so they're not going to have as high a cost on the valuation side of it. So wanted to make that adjustment. And then looking at the inspection, so we had a really high re-inspection fee, and so we wanted to make that more in line with what normal re-inspection fees are in other areas. So the $350 is like the max third re-inspection, and so we took that down to, for commercial re-inspections, as a 250 max, and then residential re-inspections would be 150.
Can we clarify what those mean real quick?
Yes, so when you have a inspection on a home, you'll have a first inspection, and then if there's an issue or a red tag, then they would have to call for another inspection, so that's where the re-inspection will come in. Normally, most contractors are able to get that adjusted within the one re-inspection, but sometimes they do have multiple after that. But it's rare, usually they do it in the second re-inspection. So there's an initial inspection that we're proposing of $100, and then a re-inspection fee of $150 for the residential, and then for commercial, we're proposing $200 for the initial inspection, and then $250 for the re-inspection. And then we also have engineering inspections, and we're proposing those to be at actual cost plus 25%. And that would be for more like infrastructure inspections on subdivision improvements. And then parkland dedication, so that was set in the ordinance as a 8% based on the appraised value. That's really difficult for a developer to come up with, and most cities have a set fee based on the per dwelling unit, so that's what we're proposing, is to remove that language for the 8% based on the appraised value, and then set a fee per dwelling unit in the actual fee schedule. And then majority of the other ones, we were really just trying to bring those into line with what a lot of the other cities were, because some of them were way high on like annexations and zoning requests. And majority of those are staff handled, like we don't really have a lot of third parties that get involved on those. So we do have an item in there that's professional fees, so like if we had to get legal involved on a zoning case or a development agreement, then we could add those fees on there. But those would be the actual costs that, we would be charged, so that would just be passed on to whoever the developer, the applicant is. Are there any questions?
Looks like y'all did a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was Forest, it was not a y'all project.
Okay.
I'm
Looks
gonna
like you
fess
did a
up
lot
to
of work.
that, it was Forest that took this one on, so he deserves the kudos.
My question is, so we've raised some fees, we've lowered some fees. How big of an impact is it gonna have
So I do.
on our general fund and budgeting?
I do have a slide, oh, there it is, okay. So, I don't have really accurate numbers because I don't have any of the financial statements to like show you exactly what we brought in, but this is based on the budget that was approved. So you can look at the prior years and what we brought in from the revenues on, that top table. So that highlighted row is gonna be the development services fees that we collected. And then basically, as you can see, like, it's gone up kind of consistently, 24, 25, that was not the end of the year, that was in August when the budget was, proposed. So that's where that fee was at, I think the projection was about 730,000, but like I said, without the actual financial statement, we don't know. And then, the expenses are gonna be none for 22, 23, none for 23, 24, because those were being charged to other department lines. So this line did not exist for this department at that time.
It wasn't broken out from like other.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And so that's why we're only showing the two. So the expenses for development services has increased. A majority of that is gonna be from the contracted services. So what we're charging the developer is basically covering those contracted expenses. That amount, the million, is including other expenses that are within the development services department, and a lot of that is gonna be covered by the admin fund. So the revenue that we're bringing in from administration, so like property taxes, sales taxes, those are gonna offset wherever that difference is that we're not capturing. I think if you go to the next slide, it breaks it out in a little more detail. Yeah, so this is like that contracted expenses. This is that total, so 960,000. So the total that we're bringing in for the department revenues is gonna be that 850. So roughly $100,000 is gonna be covered by admin. But with these changes that we've made, we should be able to recoup all of our costs and possibly offset what we were taking from admin. We should be able to put back into development services to make it a little more stable. But without the actual financial statement, I cannot guarantee what that would look like. If that helps. Since this is also a workshop today, because I didn't know how this was gonna go, I created a table that basically takes the existing fees, the proposed fees, and then shows you what it was like added, subtracted, like increased, decreased, like I have all that, so I can send that to y'all if y'all would want to.
Yes, please. Excellent table, that would be excellent.
And contracted expenses are pretty high right now because we're using Bureau Veritas for inspections and plan review because we do not have an in-house, inspector or plan reviewer. We, are working on that. We've had that vacancy posted for a while now, hoping to get some viable applicants, but that is also why your contracted expenses have increased so much from, fiscal year 24, 25 to 25, 26.
When Bureau Veritas came on board, they provided us with a fee scale, and Jordan decided not to use that fee scale and come up with her own. What happens is, did not cover everything that we're paying with Bureau Veritas. if she would have adopted, we probably would break even, and then we could afford better, because now with the analysis that Forrest did, we are making sure that we are covering all those fees and some.
So,
Well, what I'm seeing is total department revenue for adopted 25-26 is 850,000, correct? But our expenses are 960?
that's anticipated because this is for the fiscal year that we're in right now.
Right.
Okay, that's
Just-
great.
But you're saying, go ahead.
That's just the contracted services expenses, that's the 1,027,000 is the total department expenses that go back to the other side, sorry. So that 1,027,236, that is our total department expenses. I was just breaking out the contracted services to show you what we're actually needing to basically cover to break even.
So that could be like IT licensing that's also included in our million.
But what I'm saying is this isn't covering it.
No.
But you're saying that with this, it's going to.
We're trying to bridge that gap and make sure that we cover those expenses.
So when we analyzed Bureau Veritas's fee schedule and then created the new one, we, for the majority of the permits or inspections, we made sure that we were,
Taking their,
Okay.
I think the question is
My question
why we can
is
go down on
25,
certain stuff.
26 adopted is not what these proposed is. The 850,000 is not, if we put this into place, that this is gonna be the proposed. I'm not explaining myself well.
We don't know for sure because we don't have an accurate financial statement to show exactly what we brought in. Like, if we have that, then I can do better analysis to give that information to you. But like right now, this is an estimate, but I can't say. Because it's also based on how many developments and permits we
And
get.
we can't go back and like compare, say we took last year's fees that we collected based off of the old schedule, and we applied the fees that we're proposing to what we did last year, to see the difference of what we would have made. Would we have taken a nosedive, or would we have increased or balanced out? That's what, I mean, we need to compare apples to apples, right?
Okay, so we'll get a project report created on our permitting software so that we can run reports. I think that we've used MGO for at least 2 years, probably the first 2 years are not gonna be applicable, which is because of the.
I mean, I just even seen 1 year if that might be something that would help us understand if we're not running off the deep end the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so, and if we have,
So bring it back, we'll get some more data, some more financial data for y'all, and then bring it back to workshop.
right now the financial report is being work on by the new finance manager,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask, when we're gonna have some numbers.
she's working on it. She just finished with the PD finance report, and she's gonna start working on cities.
Thank you.
Good work.
Very thorough.
Thank you. All right. Anything else?
If I can add 2 things, we still need comments on noise ordinance, so that we can get that one, if y'all have any questions or comments for noise ordinance.
Great.
Sorry.
And
Oh, and the utility rates,
Utility
water and
rate.
wastewater utility rates that were presented in November, I believe. If there's any questions on that, concerns, if we're ready to bring that back for adoption or.
the utility rate.
I thought we did all that.
No, we presented.
Oh, that
workshop it and asked for
we workshop
feedback.
and we asked for questions, you
We
requested.
didn't do it into the rate.
Yeah, someone had requested table.
To the impact fees, but not the rates.
Oh, we did.
had to the rate.
Not the rates.
Percentage.
and that's it. Yeah,
Did we have the proposed? I'm sorry, I'm lost.
there was a question we were
I need
looking
to see
into
the
on the
proposed
noise
rate
ordinance.
increase for the water.
Yes. And the wastewater, we're sent to everybody.
There was something we were
Is
waiting
it
on.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'll look, I'll look for it.
Give me back again, and if you don't have it.
I'll double check. Do you know when we sent that out?
It's everything like after we presented, we sent it at the request, and we sent the table to Tanya, because she was gonna play with the live Excel.
And then,
Yeah, those, yeah.
But a week
Okay.
after we presented, we
I'll look
forward
for it.
everything. If you don't see it, just let us know, we'll move forward.
Thank you. I have to look for my emails.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. Sorry.
We're familiar with
I
that.
turned off my notifications for emails after the Walmart debacle because I got 150 in one day. So forgive me, I need to turn my notifications back
My
on.
email just disappeared.
150 in one day and I had to delete all 150.
All right. Yes.
Yes.
We're good,
City business, okay. With that, we are adjourned at 8:55 PM.